Hello everyone, today in this video we will fight against the atmospheric of our world around us, and this time we will discuss old truth that should be much more known than it really is. I mean the truth that tells us as following. When something goes wrong in the country or within the community, leadership in vast majority of cases, through history and now, and seemingly it will not change in the future, leadership always claims to justify their positions and their deeds of past and present. And they always claim that the guilty ones for current inconvenient situation and problems are the devils from outside, not the devils from inside. Always the ones from abroad, the ones from outside, are the guilty ones. The same happened nowadays to Germany because we see that recently their plan of building the another Fourth Reich empire with green socialist ideology and so on the basis of cheap Russian resources and partially cheap labor force in China, which is no longer so cheap, by the way, by allowing a huge fraction of their industry to transfer its production to China, and also they plan to rely on China with respect to many rare metals and rare elements needed for electric industry to build these stupid electronic toys that are in a misleading way called electric cars, because these are not cars, these are simply very fragile and are not practical machines that combust so often that, for instance, in Norway, where they comprise 20% of fleet, firefighters cannot make they have so many calls that they cannot finish another and start finish one and start another, because many of these electric cars simply self-combust, so they are not safe, they are not practical, and they are extremely expensive. But this was the also element of great German plan to save motor industry, that force European countries where Germany has power to buy electric pseudo cars and normal cars that use fossil fuel to ride. They were planning to sell all around the world. Of course, now due to the geopolitical change, we see that there is no Nord Stream 1 or 2 providing natural gas from Russia to Germany. It's a little bit harder to get cheaper Russian and Chinese resources, and as I said, Chinese labor force is not so cheap anymore. So we see that German economy is in trouble, and social welfare is also not so efficient as it was. So government by different means started blaming game. Of course, according to this propaganda, falling hegemon US is killing powerful great Europe that could be of great competition to US if they team up with China and Russia. Of course, China and Russia are oases of freedom and peace and so on, these bad Yankees, blah 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 blah. China and Russia, if they are oases of freedom, so so I'm the African elephant jumping from one mountain to another. You see, I'm not, and all this stuff. But we currently in German politics and inside in the debate within the country, we see typical blaming game and looking for the guilty one, because the German elite actually overlooked its own safety and its own sustainability in terms of economy and resources, because greed of the industrial owners was much stronger, and they didn't look on the long-term geopolitical consequences of making the German economy completely dependent on the supplies from Russia and China. So we see geopolitics changed, and now there is no solution to current German problems. And to remodel economy, it's too short and too expensive. We will see how it will end up, but now we see desperate attempts of German elites to restore as much as possible previous contacts and trade routes with Russia and China, otherwise their economy is down. We still remember how in 1990s and to early 2000s there was a strong emphasis of German elite that this is a strategic collaboration with Russia. They even built Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, ignoring the pretensions of other countries which have also access to Baltic Sea, and that they would actually be damaged by the functionality of such connection between Russia and China and transport of resources. Of course, Germany, in a very egoistic way, ignored all of these petitions, and they were thinking only about the profits, especially German industrial and business political elite, not cultural elite, because for being cultural elite, as I always mention, one needs to have something in head. They don't. So and now we see the results, and now they are trying to rescue their image. I mean, business political elite of Germany by by typical blaming game, finding the guilty one for the difficult situation and explaining to population that of course always foreign devils are the guilty ones but not our devils. And this is typical all-time classics. Now we see this embarrassing performance done by German elite that really for the last 30 years completely didn't think in realistic geopolitical terms. They were thinking only by the greed for money and power, and now we see the consequences of this. All the best, have a nice day, bye.